Good morning. It is Wednesday. Wednesday. Um, and since it's the middle of the week, I only think it's appropriate to highlight some things. Our goal is to reach as many people as possible, right? That's been the commission. It's been the goal. Um, but it's so funny that the people that are being reached are some of the ones that don't want to be reached. And so I want to take a little bit of time to highlight one comment on one of my videos from this week. It was about the Mary and virgin birth one. Okay. Now, before I show you this, um, I want you to keep in mind that the question he asks in his very first post makes what I'm doing all the more fun. Okay. So I want, this is great. This is so great. Let's make videos about our imaginary friends. To which I say, have at it. You seem like the kind to have many of them. This is the part that gets me happy. I'm not sure how you wound up in my suggestions. Algorithms really messed up. Anyway, have fun in your 6,000-year world with dinosaur bones testing your faith. So I told him to go tell his mom that he's triggered. Now, here's the best part. The best part of all of this is right here. Not sure how you wound up in my suggestions. Algorithms really messed up. It's really not messed up. It's actually pretty spectacular that the algorithm is putting me in front of people like that. Um, I am happy that I serve an imaginary friend. Um, could not be happier. Couldn't be happier that I serve an imaginary friend. Um, my imaginary friend is now in your head. Um, like it or not, you've heard one more person talk about my imaginary friend. Win number one for my imaginary friend. Some things are just too good to be true. That was one of them. Anyway, back to what we were doing. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Welcome. I'm glad you guys are here. Uh, this morning, we're going to be tackling something that I have heard many talk about in my time as in the church, um, but something uh, popped into my knowledge bank while reading this again, and I really want to share with you what happened in my mind with about this dedication of the temple. So we're going to read first. Okay, we're going to read first as usual. This is in First Kings chapter 8. Okay, and it's going to be a long read, so just bear with me. But it's essential that I read it in almost its entirety. Um, I'm sorry too that the internet's going to be weird. My picture's going to be weird because we have odd weather here, and it's affecting everything to do with the internet. So my apologies if I come across shaky or blurry or my sound is off. It's not my fault. It's the weather that's messing things up. Okay, so it's going to be the case for most of the winter, unfortunately. Then Solomon assembled the elders of Israel and all the heads of the tribes, the princes of the fathers of the children of Israel, unto King Solomon in Jerusalem, to bring up the ark of the covenant of Jehovah out of the city of David, which is Zion. And all the men of Israel assembled themselves to King Solomon at the feast of the month of Athenium, that is, the seventh month. And all the elders of Israel came, and the priests took up the ark, and they brought up the ark of Jehovah and the tent of meeting, and all the holy vessels that were in the tent, and the priests and the Levites brought them up. And King Solomon and all the assembly of Israel that were assembled with him before the ark sacrificed sheep and oxen. This is very important, which could not be counted or numbered for multitude. That's very important to remember. And the priest brought the ark of the covenant of Jehovah to its place in the oracle of the house, into the holy, most holy place, under the wing of the cherubim. And the cherubim stretched forth its wings out of the place of the ark, and the cherubim covered the ark and its staves above. And the staves were long, so that the staves were seen from the holy place before the oracle, but they were not seen without. And they are to this, and there they are to this day. There was nothing in the ark save two tablets of stone which Moses placed there at Horeb when Jehovah made the covenant with the children of Israel when they came out of the land of Egypt. And it came to pass when the priest came out of the holy place that the cloud filled the house of Jehovah, and the priest could not stand to do the service because of the cloud, for the glory of Jehovah had filled the house of Jehovah. Then Solomon said, Jehovah said that he would dwell in the thick darkness. I have indeed built a house, a habitation for thee, and settle a place for thee beside abide in forever. And the king turned his face and blessed the whole congregation of Israel, and the whole congregation of Israel stood. And he said, Blessed be Jehovah, the God of Israel, who spoke out of the mouth of David unto my father, and hath with his hand fulfilled it, saying, Since the day I brought you out of Egypt, I chose no city for all the tribe of Israel to build a house in, that my name might be there, but I have chose David to be over my people. Now, a lot to unpack, okay? And I'm going to make a correlation here that I don't think I've heard anybody else make. Um, and again, when I make this correlation, take it to the author, please. One of the big things I noticed in this statement, um, this particular line right here, okay? King Solomon and all the assembly of Israel that were assembled with him before the ark sacrificed sheep and oxen, which could not be counted or numbered for multitude. All of this to bring the ark of the covenant to its resting place. Um, the ark of the covenant was pretty much the presence of God, okay? Was the place where he was going to be indwelling. The covenant he made with Moses was indwelling in this ark, but where they placed the ark was where they expected God to dwell. You couldn't go into the presence of God unless you were a priest. And there were certain things you had to do before to be able to get into that Holy of Holies. Now, the dedication of it was setting a place aside specifically for God to dwell. That was the whole purpose. It was to create a space here for God to dwell. He had the ark, they had everything set the way God wanted it. Everything was placed in a specific way per God's instructions, and he would dwell there. The other part that stood out was this, the part with Solomon saying that Jehovah said that he would dwell in the thick darkness. At first, it kind of threw me off because I thought, wait, hang on. He doesn't dwell in darkness. Why would it say he dwells in thick darkness? Veiled. Veiled. The darkness there is not the darkness that we are used to when it comes to sin. It's veiled. It will be a thick veil. Now, For those asking what version is this is the Darby translation. The one I wanted to have was not available. So hear me out here. King Solomon setting up a location for Jehovah to rest, abide forever, his presence. And there they are. They came in, he blessed the congregation, he blessed the event, and they went forth, joyous that they had brought the Ark of the Covenant to this location, that they finally have a resting place for and a place for God to be indwelling and to have his presence. The thing that kicked me later, that really threw me for a loop, was another section of um, scripture. And it was the portion where Jesus was crucified, and there was a event that took place that I think most people would normally brush over and not see a reference to, but they may not. And it's this. Okay. Um, so here we go. And this is in Mark 15. Okay. So you know. In Mark 15, verse 33, it says after the time of his death. Okay. At noon, darkness came over the whole land until 3 in the afternoon. And at 3 in the afternoon, Jesus cried out with a loud voice, Eloi, Eloi, lama sabachthani, which means, God, my God, why have you forsaken me? When some of those standing near heard this, they said, listen, he's calling Elijah. Someone ran, filled a sponge with vinegar and wine vinegar, and put it on a staff and offered Jesus a drink. Now leave him alone. Let's see if Elijah comes to take him down. With a loud cry, Jesus breathed his last. The curtain of the temple was torn in two from top to bottom. And when the centurion who stood there in front of Jesus saw how he died, he said, surely this man was the Son of God. Some crazy parts to this. Darkness came over the land. Darkness is where he shall dwell. Thick darkness. They hid away the Ark of the Covenant, and it was behind this veil. The veil got rent at the time of Jesus' death. The vital importance between the two is this. He instructed the Israelites to create a space for him. And then in the new covenant, he created a space for himself. One, a housing made by man for the Most High. The new covenant, the Most High made his dwelling where he wanted it. In the old, even though you're dedicating the temple, there were rituals and sacrifices with multitudes that you couldn't even count how many goats and sheep they had to sacrifice for this. In the new, one for all. In the old, only the priest could go back there. In the new, anyone can. The dedication of the temple was so vital to the Israelites that it was a monumental thing. They had ceremonies upon ceremonies about it being there. There were decades upon decades of rituals and pomp and circumstance around the Ark of the Covenant. The location, the presence of God was a big thing to them. Big thing. Yet today, just like with information. Today, we have access without a priest to the presence of God, and we don't celebrate it. We have zero reverence and celebration for that. In fact, it's treated as a you deserve it. Do you realize what God did? Do we even have a inclination of how massive a thing this is? We are talking about the difference between limited access to the Most High and unfettered access to the Most High. When we had limited access, there was all kinds of amazement and love for the fact that you even had some access. Today, all access trivialized, almost meaningless, taken for granted. Now I can come back tomorrow. He'll be there. He's always there. It's okay. It's no big deal. We have created for ourselves, unlike Solomon, a unfascination with the presence of God. We people have created an unfascination with the presence of God. So much so that there are preachers out there who say he doesn't speak anymore. They are willing to limit the Most High to an old covenant. I want you to really think about something because for as much, okay, let's take the kids for instance, let's take children in today's society. We live in the most information free era in humankind existence ever. We live in a society where information is at your fingertips. You can access it at a moment's notice. Yet there are more dumb people today than there ever was in the history of mankind. There are more people who are mentally inept than there has ever been when there is 50 million times more access to information. It is no different than the Christian. The old covenant, they had to kill animals and sacrifice and go to a priest, and then the priest had to go inside, and then they had to offer a whole bunch of incense, and then that was the process. It was revered. It was something to behold. It was a process that was to be relished and cherished, and not only that, sought after. Today, he tore the veil, opened it up, you passed through, one sacrifice was done, you can access it, and nobody wants to go in. Nobody wants to go in. It baffles me. It sincerely baffles me. Solomon gathered priests, prophets, head honchos, kings. Everyone came to the dedication of the presence of God among them. There was this massive feeling of awe. Do you feel that when you go to church anymore? It's a simple question. Do you feel when you walk in the buildings of these places that are calling church, call themselves church, do you feel that awe? Because remember, you are walking into a location where there's unfettered access to the throne of God. Do you feel that walking into these so called churches anymore? No, because they have lost all semblance of reverence for the presence of God. They have zero care for it. The one place that you would think that should have the most excitement about it being there, not that it is an ark of the covenant or anything, but the fact that you have it should be a location that should exude happiness, joy, elation. It doesn't. Instead, what you get? Law. You get law. Nothing but law. Now, when I told you before that this was going to go in a different direction, while the presence of the ark and the presence of temples and synagogues and all that stuff, it's real. It's real. Tangible. Everything God has ever done has always been an archetype. Family is an archetype for how he wants the relationship to be with him. Church, archetype. Children, archetype. This is no different. You, oh man, have been given access through the blood and sacrifice of Jesus to the eternal throne of the Most High. I'm going to re say that again. You, O man, have been given access through the blood of Jesus to the throne room of the Most High. That is massive. You literally have the Garden of Eden reconstituted in your heart, where you can feel the presence of God walking when you commune with Him. He has opened that back up to you. That is amazing to me that people just pass that by. They relegate it to two songs, a sermon, and a collection plate. Then they complain on Sunday that it's going too long. They have to get to dinner, they have to get to lunch. The buffet is going to close. Think about it, okay? Really think about this. You, churchgoer, complain that you're staying too long in the presence of God and you need to go leave and do something else. Say what? But it kind of makes sense because you're probably not in the presence of God anyway when you're there because there is no presence there. Imagine stepping into a gathering and everyone in this gathering sits there in absolute awe A football game, exactly. In absolute awe of who they're in front of. You wouldn't want to leave either. You wouldn't want to leave. That's the best part of this whole thing. But we have relegated the man to 2 hours on a Sunday and call it good. Ain't that something? Hmm. The amount of sacrifices that they had to offer, they say was incalculable, right? It was so much that was just way too much. Yet God accomplished way more with one pure one. Not the blood of animals, not the blood of goats, blood of his son. Covered all of that and was able to undo the ritualistic behaviors of man, but still give them all the presence of the Most High. You don't have to do a thing. You don't have to offer a sacrifice. You don't have to burn offerings no more. The only thing you have to do, the only thing that you have to do is accept his son, be covered by his blood. You don't need a priest. You had one already do that. It is amazing. I just love the fact that he is making things so accessible for us and we have no excuse. This is why he'll say man will have no excuse. This is why man will have no excuse. I am happy that many of us are already on that path, that walkway, that road to realizing that the presence of God is probably the most impossible thing to gain, but the most amazing gift we've been given. It's impossible to gain because it's been given. Solomon understood it. David understood it. I'd say even Moses understood it. And here we are today with all of that history known, and we still don't appreciate it. What does that say about us? It's not painting a very good picture. Every time you pray, you are entering the Holy of Holies into the presence of the Most High to speak directly to Him. And you don't find that an honor? Do you really think that at that point, knowing that you're going to bring something selfish to request of Him? Or are you going to enter with nothing but thanks? Do you know how easy it is for us to go to Him and ask for a bunch of stuff? And then we get how like I'm living proof that you can get mad at the God of the universe for something we deem unfair. I didn't understand the presence of God. I didn't. I took it for granted for a long time. But do you really believe that your place, going before the creator of the universe after doing what he did for you, that your place is to go and ask him for anything? I'm not saying you can't. Not saying that at all. But is that your first thing that you do? I would think the very first thing that you would always do is be thankful that you could even approach him. You should be grateful you can even approach him. And like I always tell people, nothing of what I say will make any sense to you if you don't believe he is who he says he is. Let's get that right off the top. If you don't believe God is who he says he is, nothing of what I'm talking about will make sense to you. In fact, it will seem dumb. And I would give you that. It would sound extremely stupid if you didn't believe in God. But when he has met you and you have met him and you realize he's real, all of what I'm saying will make sense to you. He wants obedience, not sacrifice. A sacrifice is already made. I'm going to read one more thing for you here, okay? Because this, I think, will be vital. I want to make sure that you guys understand this, okay? We find the exact verse here. Okay. Now, this is in Revelation, right? This is in Revelation 4, and they're talking about the four living creatures. Now, these are the ones that dwell in his presence constantly, okay? And we are going to be doing the same thing that these creatures are doing. Now, listen to what they do. Each of the four, this is in verse 8, each of the four living creatures had six wings and was covered with eyes all around and within. Day and night they never stop saying, Holy, holy, holy is the Lord God Almighty, who was and is to come. That is all they do. All they do is praise. That is all they do all day long, every day, 24/7, 365. We have become so complacent that we have relegated God to a genie. He's a genie in a bottle. You want something? Pray. You feeling sad? Pray. Rub the bottle. Not if you're feeling sad, remember who he is. No, pray that he takes away the sadness. Do you understand what I'm saying? A perspective switch, it needs to happen, and it needs to happen soon. I am not saying that God doesn't answer prayers, and I'm not saying you don't take your request. I'm talking about your attitude towards those requests needs to switch. He's not a genie. He's not there to fulfill and answer your prayers. He's there to be honored and worshiped. First and foremost. If you can't get that down, you're just using him. He is there to be honored and to be praised. The four living creatures do it all day long. We'll be doing it for eternity. Start now. If you don't want to start now, it's up to you. But he's called you to understand his sacrifice and what that meant for us. It is not just saving us from hell, it is opening up the portals of communication for you and God to converse, for you to praise directly, not through a priest, not through a veil. Direct, unfettered. Don't treat him like a household item. Don't treat him like some kind of trinket. Don't treat him like Christmas and Easter twice a year. This is a big deal. Make it a big deal like Solomon did. Make it resound in your home. Make it resound wherever you go. Make known the sacrifice that was given. Yeah, exactly 2%. Do it for 2 hours at church, and when it's over, you go back to bouncing and twerking. You relegate him to 1 day a week. Anyway, that's what hit me with this particular topic. Um, because it was kind of crazy to me to get it. It was really cool to get it that the same pomp and circumstance that these guys did back in the day should be tenfold because now we don't even need it. That effect should be upon us. The gravity of what they were doing should be upon us even more, but it's not. And that's the sad part. The next 2 days, um, two shows are going to be interesting for some, angering for others. Tomorrow we'll be talking about the mark of the beast. And then on Friday, where is the Trinity in the Bible? Again, tomorrow, the mark of the beast. And then on Friday, where is the Trinity in the Bible? That one on Friday, I really need you, before Friday gets here, to analyze the question for what it says. Not for what you think, not for your history, for what it says. Where is the Trinity in the Bible? Okay? So don't come Friday and with a preconceived notion about stuff. Where in the Bible is the Trinity? And tomorrow we'll talk about the mark of the beast, especially with everything going on. We'll be talking about the mark of the beast. Okay, don't miss that one. That one will be good too. Share, share, share. Um, so um, please be here for that tomorrow. Don't miss it. Please be here on Friday. If you haven't subscribed yet to the YouTube portion of my channel, please do so. I will give you the link here in the chat so you have it. If you have not gone and done that, please do. It'll help people like the guy I talked about in the beginning. It'll get put in their suggestions so they have to hear it. They have to hear it. You might think they're getting shorter. They're just getting more succinct. Um, Also, I find that if you can give the information and the attention spans of people to just slowly spread it out, it helps. Not a whole lot of people like sitting down for an hour to hear, and I do speak a little bit slower than most, um, because I want to make sure the words I use are what I mean. Um, but it's not that I'm intentionally trying to make it shorter, but I do understand that some people don't have the attention span to make it a whole hour, hour and a half through a video. Um, and I try to get to the point as quickly as possible. So tomorrow's, though, I can't guarantee will be short at all. At all. Tomorrow will probably be a long one with the Mark of the Beast one, especially the one on Friday. So um, please be back for that. Too Strong will be on twice today. Okay, we'll be on at 2 p.m. Eastern and also at 8 p.m. Eastern. 2 Eastern, 8 Eastern. Remember that. 2 shows today. Thank you again. And as usual, take everything back to the author. Talk to him about it. You have that access. Remember that. But also remember that wisdom is calling to you from the streets. So please, please, please find wisdom. Peace. Hold tight, dreams for if dreams die.